Have you ever felt like life is actually full of possibilities, but somehow you still feel like you're seeing nothing? Not because you're lazy, not because you're incapable. It's more like there's something that just never fully registers in your mind. You hear people say, "This is an opportunity. This could turn into something." But when you look at the exact same thing, it feels ordinary, sometimes even annoying. And the strange part is, you know you're not blind. So why does it feel like you're not seeing what they see? So maybe the real question isn't, do opportunities exist? But why do some people see them, while others don't even notice? The problem isn't out there. It's in how we see things. Your brain doesn't actually see reality as it is. It picks a small portion and filters the rest out. Think about when you're walking through a busy market. Noise everywhere, people moving, colors all around you. Then suddenly, you hear your name, and instantly you turn. That sound was always there. But it only became real the moment your brain decided it mattered. That's how we move through life every day. Not just with sound, but with everything. We don't see reality. We see what our brain allows us to notice. And most of the time, that decision happens without us even realizing it. I've had moments like that too. Sitting there, looking at something that was actually right in front of me, but my mind immediately labeled it. Too complicated. Not important. Not for me. And that was it. Dismissed, before I even understood it. What's interesting is, someone else, in the exact same situation, can see something completely different. Not because they're smarter, but because they're not filtering it the same way. Sometimes the reason we don't see isn't because there's nothing there. It's because we never considered it worth noticing in the first place. And without realizing it, this pattern slowly shapes your life. Not through big decisions, but through small, repeated moments. You start overlooking conversations that actually matter, ignoring ideas that show up for a second, then disappear. Seeing something new, but instantly labeling it with an old assumption. Yeah, it's probably the same. Nothing special, and life starts to feel stuck. Not because nothing is happening, but because everything starts to look the same. Days pass, but nothing really feels different. Not because the world stopped moving, but because you keep seeing the same patterns over and over. At some point, it goes deeper. You're not just missing things out there. You start missing things within yourself. Feelings you could have understood get ignored. Small desires shut down immediately. Curiosity replaced with assumptions. And over time, you don't even know anymore what you're actually seeing and what is just your mind running on autopilot. The most subtle part is, it doesn't feel like a mistake. It just feels like this is how things are. And that's the real problem. Because the moment something feels normal, we stop questioning it. There's something most people miss. We think we don't see something, when in reality, we already did. We just didn't recognize it as something meaningful. That's the part no one really talks about. Selective attention isn't just about what you notice. It's about what you decide is worth a second look. There's a simple idea from Daniel Kahneman in Thinking Fast and Slow. He explains that our mind runs on two systems, one fast and automatic, and one slow and deliberate. The problem is, most of our life is driven by the fast one, the one that instantly judges, labels, and moves on, without really seeing. That's why when we say there's nothing there, it's often not because it's empty. It's because we decided too quickly. There's also a line from James Clear in Atomic Habits that hits deeper than it sounds. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. And if you think about it, this isn't just about habits. It's about attention. If your mental system is trained to dismiss things, you'll keep dismissing, even when something actually matters. And this isn't about intelligence. Even someone like Steve Jobs wasn't known for seeing things that didn't exist, but for paying attention to things others overlooked. He once said, "It's not about connecting the dots looking forward. It's about connecting them looking backward." Meaning, what seems obvious now was already there before. Not everyone just slows down enough to see it. So maybe the problem isn't, I don't have opportunities. Maybe it's, I've been too quick to decide something isn't worth noticing. And that changes everything. Because if that's true, then opportunities aren't something that appear. They're something that wait for your attention to stay a little longer. If you've been feeling like you're not seeing anything, it doesn't mean you're behind. And it doesn't mean something is wrong with you. Maybe You've just been looking at the world the same way for too long. A way that feels safe, a way that feels familiar, but quietly limits what your mind allows you to notice. And that's human. All of us at some point have been there, seeing the world through a narrow lens and thinking that's all there is. But the moment you realize that what you've been seeing is only a fraction, something shifts. Not dramatically, not all at once, but slowly. You stop judging things too quickly. You give things a little more time to be seen. You start questioning what once felt obvious. And from there, without even noticing, your way of seeing begins to change. Not because the world suddenly becomes different, but because you finally start paying attention. If this kind of conversation speaks to you, the kind that's quiet but honest, not here to judge but to help you see, you can follow along on Mind Patterns, not for quick answers, but for a different way of looking at things. Because in the end, what changes your life isn't what happens, it's what you become aware of. And maybe what you've been looking for has been right in front of you the whole time.